Welcome back to another wonderful day of Emunah and Bitachon. What a beautiful day to start the week with Emunah and Bitachon. I was talking to Reb Zev this morning, and he said over a story that's brought down in the sefer from the Chazon Ish, Emunah and Bitachon, about how a person was supposed to have a Shabbos guest. And the person prepared, and the Shabbos guest didn't show up, and the people in his house were upset, like, oh, the Shabbos guest didn't show up. And the Chazon Ish writes there, it seems that the Gabbai Tzedakah made a mistake and sent him to a different house, and not to this house. So the person who wanted to have the guest said he realizes that it's not the point that I should do it for the guest, it's to make sure that the guest is taken care of. Emunah Bitachon means it's not that I do the job, it means that Hashem makes sure that the job gets done. And we know that this is in everything. This is in Chesed, this is in Maisim Tovim, this is in Mitzvahs, it's in Tzedakah. We want to be the conduit. We want to be the one that is that conduit of bringing Kedusha into the world, bringing Chesed into the world, bringing Torah into the world. And we daven to Hashem that we should be Zoicha, Megalgal and Schos Eidei Zakai, that you should be the one that is Zoicha to be that conduit of Schos. But it doesn't mean that without it, we're not doing the Torah mitzvahs, right? It doesn't mean that we're not doing Torah mitzvahs if we don't do it, right? So, I was thinking now it's during campaign season. So, Reb Zev mentioned this morning, understanding tzaddik b'emunah yichya. What does it mean? Let's say you look at a person. This guy could write $10,000 check. This guy could write $5,000 check. This guy, and we're like, how come I can't be that person? And the answer is, it's not our job to always be the person that does certain things. Our job is to be the best we could be. There's a story with Reb Zusha and Reb Elimelech. And Reb Elimelech was Reb Elimelech Lezhensk, and Reb Zusha was his brother, the holy Reb Zusha. And Reb Zusha used to say, after 120, they're not going to hit me for not being Reb Elimelech. Elimelech had Hasidim, and he had a big tish, and thousands of people come and get advice. Reb Zusha was a tremendous tzaddik. He was known to be, his tzidkis was not even regular. And he says, my job is to be the best me. Like the Gemara says, Harbe asuk Reb Shem Bayachai, v'loi also biyadam. Many did like Reb Shem Bayachai, and it didn't work because your job is not to be Reb Shem Bayachai. Your job is to be the best you. The job is to be the best me. Hashem gave me kelim, me a mind, me a guf, me a job, and whatever my job is, be the best I could be. Not to look at the other person and be like, oh, I wish I could be them, because then you're not doing your job. If you live your whole life trying to be somebody else, you're not doing your tachlis. Everyone's journey is their job. And it's fascinating because we don't really live like that, especially in today's society, in the world of social media, when we see so much and so much affluence. And people show their affluence even if they're not affluent. They show like how good life is, even though life is not so good. The ones who are always busy posting on social media how good life is, ask them how good life really is. There was a very chashur person that was sitting by an event this past Thursday night. And he told me, he said, I was sitting with someone who was very wealthy and everybody, he's like the envy of everybody's life, and he just has so many tzaros, nobody knows. Hashem Yishma. And you think to yourself, like, look into yourself. Reb Salanta, famous story, Reb Salanta brought all people that had tzaros together, and he said, everybody put your tzaros on the table. They all put the tzarot on the table, and then he says, okay, now look through everybody's tzaros, choose which one you want. Everybody picked their own back. Why? You are given the power and the kalim to do your job. You have the vessels and the mindset and the kaiches and to just do what you're supposed to do in this world, not anybody else. So we're making this big campaign now. We make $1 million raise. We matched money, and I always have to realign myself that all this is just a mitzvah of hishtadlus. When we reach out to people and we say to people, could you help the yeshiva? Could you give money? That's our mitzvah, which means we have to do the best we could do to become a keli, a vessel for that hishtadlus. We're not making the money. We're not creating the money. We're just creating conduits so we should be able to do it. That's the mitzvah we're supposed to do with hishtadlus. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu does the rest, which means Chavis always teaches us that when you're the best you could be and you try the best you could be and you do the best you could be, all that is just to make a keli and a vessel so that you could be makabel, you could accept all the hashpayos from Shemayim. Financially, healthily, emotionally, shidduchim, nachas, all that, that's the whole goal of everything. And I believe the more and more and more we learn and talk about the Emunah, the more you see it. I was in a wine store Friday. I was picking up a bottle of wine. My wife wants a certain wine for Shabbos, called Shabbos. I was picking up, and I was waiting online. There was a very fine gentleman in front of me, a Sephardi guy, and his friend walks in. And I'm just like standing on the side. I was just waiting. They were going to bring the bottle. And his friend says to the guy that's in line, says, "Hey, is this your spot where you buy wine?" And the guy's saying, "It's like I was just passing by, I came." So me, being me, so I was like, "Hey, this is the best spot to buy. This is great. You should come in here and buy." And the guy looks up and he's like looking at me like this. I'm like, "Did I say something wrong?" He's like, "Rabbi Groner?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I don't think I ever saw this person before. He's like, "Emunah?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I listen to your shiurim every day." I was like, "Whoa." HaKadosh Baruch Hu just sent me a beautiful message. It was a hug from Shammai. I was like, I happened to be there at that moment when this person walks in, and the sweetest guy in the world that he just, he appreciated it, and he said, "Thank you. I hope he's listening to this year. You better be listening." And imagine he misses this year. And I was like, wow, that's my Shemayim. All that's Emunah. All that's Bitachon. Every step is Emunah Bitachon, right? Which means every dollar you make, every person you meet, every step you take, we say it's over and over. That's Hameichen Mitzadi Gav. We say, make a bracha in the morning. Hameichen Mitzadi Gav. Hashem prepares the footsteps of man. Hashem prepares where you end up at every single second. Why you got a certain donation, why you didn't. You're going to hear from me the whole week, by the way. Bear with me, right? And talk a lot about it because I'm talking to myself as well. When I talk about these things of Emunah, Hishtadlus, Bitachon, understanding where you go, what you do, how you live, right? Which guest you have, which money you make, because we need to, you got to get into the heart. You got to learn it, you got to live it, and then you realize that you're going to see Yad Hashem. The more you talk about it, the more you live it, the more you understand it, the more you see Siyat Shema. Hashem should bless us a bountiful week for the tremendous partners of the yeshiva and for everyone. All of you listening, have an amazing day. And if you see me, say hello.